screen.
FPMT host. Is that pin?
Okay, ready. Yeah. Okay. We do position. Namo Manjo Jire Namo Jire Namo Dhamma Jewels O Namo Manjo Jire Namo Jire Namo Dhamma Jewels O Namo Manjo Jire Namo Jire Namo Dhamma Jewels Jidang Zuge Jono Lai Jiangzhu Bandu Dandi Gyatsu Ji Dage Jinsu Bibi Tonangi Gola Benje Sangye Juba Shu Jidang Zuge Jono Lai Jiangzhu Bandu Dandi Gyatsu Ji Dage Jinye Gibi Tonangi Gola Benje Sangye Juba Shu Jidang Zuge Jono Lai Jiangzhu Bandu Dandi Gyatsu Ji Dage Jinye Gibi Tonangi Gola Benje Sangye Juba Shu Bege Juji Medo Zhang Jira Lingxi Nide Genpa Di Sangye Shindo Mide Uwa Ye Roge Nanda Shima Juba Shu Idang Guru Rana Mendala Kandi Adaya Mi All sentient beings have been our mothers. All sentient beings have been our mothers, not just once, for numberless times. They are as kind as our mothers of this life. Even though all kind mothers sentient beings want happiness and do not even want a small suffering, however, due to engaging wrongly in objects of abandonment and adoptions, they experience only the result of suffering. In our mind, generate loving kindness towards all kind mothers sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mothers sentient beings had excellent happiness. May all kind mothers sentient beings have excellent happiness. I will cause all kind mothers sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
So this is Dhamma Jewels. Since you did that, you just religion. Name that's on Jewels, you never listen. How do I tell you? Kawa Juju, Kawa Davisha, the Nation of Lama and she let him see to say
Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if body of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue, such as pain, discomfort, sickness, and harms caused by elements. May body of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause body of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
So this is Dhamma Jewels, you can change mandala. Yijin you drug it the way that no to Tara, Tara,
Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue, such as fear, anxiety, coarse and subtle conceptual thoughts. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Again, we think, how nice if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue, such as negative speech, telling lies, idle speech, etc. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. In brief, we think, how nice if 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. May 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate Bodhichitta, first by asking ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms? I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. However, I do not have the ability to do so now. Only those who have achieved the perfect, complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will become Buddha. Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind. First, our aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all sentient beings, I will become Buddha. These transform into a complete white mundis at one's heart. And our ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming one taste with emptiness. There is all phenomena are lacking of inherent existence. That transform into a white 5-pronged vajra on top of the mundis. Next, we meditate on emptiness, that I exists neither intrinsically one with nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically. Next, to conjoin these sessions with the practice of 6 perfections, the first one is the practice of generosity. And generosity is mainly about the minds of giving. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I dedicate the roots of virtue that I will accumulate for the sake of all sentient beings. Next is the practice of morality. And morality is the minds of abandoning the physical and verbal misdeeds. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal misdeeds so that they do not manifest. Next is the practice of patience, and patience is an undisturbed mind. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever physical hardship or mental hardships that occur, I will willingly accept it. I will embrace it. Next is the practice of joyous effort. And joyous effort is a mind enthusiastic for delight, or is a mind taking delight in virtue. So mind enthusiastic for virtue, or a mind taking delight in virtue. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will take delight in accomplishing virtue and working for the sake of all sentient beings. Next is the practice of meditative concentration. And meditative concentration is mind single-pointedly focusing on any of the virtuous object. And this is considered to be the hardest among the practices, because we need to single-pointedly focus on any of the virtuous object. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, we focus our mind on the virtuous object and do not get distracted by other matters such as family or work.
제가 아버지 내가 시도가 좀 많이나 해로지 보시면 스윙스 이들이 당하고 저는 나지 칸들라고 내가라 다 칸들이 배워다 만들면 내미도 야고 시마데 해로지 보시면 저 갖고 가다가 이제 시라도 파트 잡고 저거 쓰는 거 진짜 가서라 시다 돼서 가르치고 좀 돼야 아버지 시도 가지 좀 많이나 해로지 보시면 다 칸들이 가라서 칸들이 내 앞에 배워 좀 만드는 수준의 상황을 방지도 전가는 것은 무슨 레벨 시가지 예 신뢰이나 대시로지 연애스로 들어와.
Last one is the practice of wisdom, and wisdom is mind thoroughly distinguishing the phenomena. So wisdom. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will properly understand the words and the meaning of the words and the benefits of listening, contemplating, and meditating, and the faults of not doing so. So if we do like this, then we conjoin these sessions with the practice of wisdom. So similarly, we can also apply this practice of wisdom to other practices, such as reciting prayers. So when we conjoin prayer recitations with the practice of wisdom, then we can think that I will properly understand the benefits of reciting prayers, such as I will keep my commitment, and the faults of not engaging in prayer recitation, such as my commitment will be broken. Set motivation for the sake of all other sentient beings. I will become Buddha. For this purpose, I will listen to the teachings. I will listen to the commentary on the teachings and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Oh yeah, thank you. That's another answer. Go to your dinner and she'll be general. Nanjita, Taparjima, who's going to the Magia, the summer of the pay, only a way to catch it. That gentleman to pay a jet on Amado Tanda, going to get it. And the going to that in this social pay, should do so around the pay. I told her, Larissa, and those are the master Tambo. The city of the Tanda. Nearby the feet, so Ilasha, the Bogia, the Ilasha. You know, the parts should go in a non that the Lino and Dogana, and that they go on the chance of the sound of the Jewish year. What the Rimba, the Nanji pay to the charging, Shoga, Gigi, candidate because of Gundaman, the chance of go to Valina, they are aware. Good social for Kundia, which Chavina, that part is Bogia, coming to the other channel.
Yeah, so the purpose of doing meditations every time at the beginning of the class, so that we can habituate ourselves with these meditations. So we should improve our meditations over time. So that what we meditate on is the same, but we should improve our meditations. So it's very good to, for example, doing meditations on Lamrim, and we should ascertain the words, and then to cause that understanding to appear in our mind, and then we meditate on Lamrim. So if we do like that, first we ascertain the words, and then we cause that understanding to appear in our mind, and we meditate on this, meditate on Lamrim, then we will be able to do meditations wherever we go. Even if we take a flight to destinations, then we can even do such meditations in the flight. So it will be very good if we can habituate ourselves with such meditations at the morning when we wake up, and also at night before we sleep. So if we have these habituations, then we can do meditations at any time without any difficulty.
당어도 장주기 세다 동반이다 배에서 그 추지식 상담바 이제 그 배열 가세를 그 쉬고 배열 합쳐버리고 어디에 쉬어지고.
So we can also think about the benefits of just meditate for a short while on Bodhichitta and emptiness.
당어도 드리마 삼지야들이 같이 다기 제스 다기 지어 공부하다가서 계사와다 공성인이 계사와다 만들어서와 다 게든도서 다 공성인이 만들어서 이 일만
So the stages of meditation on how to exchange oneself and others, it has 2 points: removing obstacles and the actual way to meditate. So we have already covered the removing obstacles, and today I'm going to talk about the actual way to meditate.
다 공성인에서 간다들이 마디 전달마 시행도와 나라 차비오고 저 제바서 이 와 토면에 단다 받아 다 문제 발란서 그래서 다기 지와고 모양들 팍 가야 쓰고 가서는 다 진지 차고 간다 와다 진지 와다이 진지가 다 진지 때 간다 다라 차비오고 다 제바서 이 단 코아 토면에 받아 다다 받아 가서 다 문제 받나서 받지와 마디바 마지바 노다 뭐뭐 용해야 게 가르스나 다 진지 대원 좀 말해서 도와 다 진지 간디 지워서나 어 피수 소바 야부 시분 소리가 근데 이래 간다 도와 그 정도 될 장자 눈이 내 간다 때 정도 될 장자라 상담도 다 많이 받아 왜 지금 때 간다 산지지 공부해야 돼 타다 가지고 공부해야 돼 타다 무슨 지고요 이들이 다 많이 가지고 안 되지 않아요. 디지털에 탈은 되지 않아요. 왜 지금 너무 동안 줘야다. 무슨 제도. 와. 동안 줘. 아, 근데 나한테 줘서 다 많이 벌시니 내가 봐 장인데 봐 망보라. 간다 소야. 나한테 돼. 나 지금 말이스. 만두 봐 맞지? 동안 아빠리 동안 나게 차요. 예세. 나한테 차도야 이제 다 진지디. 예세 다 동안에 와. 나도 안 되지.
So the actual way to meditate by the power of attachment to the self, this self-cherishing has produced much that is undesirable from beginningless time up to now. So because of this self-cherishing, so in order to practice exchanging oneself with others, the main obstacles that need to be removed is this self-cherishing. So because of this self-cherishing, it has produced much undesirable unhappiness, harms, problems, troubles in us from beginningless time up to now. So this self-cherishing, only think about oneself, only think about one's own purpose, only accomplish one's own purpose. And because of this self-cherishing, we do not put effort in the method to achieve the state of enlightenment and the state of liberations. So because of this self-cherishing, all are because of this self-cherishing. So despite the fact that you have wanted to create excellence for yourself, you have relied on unsuitable means. That unsuitable means refer to self-cherishing. So contemplating your own welfare as paramount. So owing to this, neither your own welfare nor that of others has been accomplished despite the passing of countless eons. So because of self-cherishing, even though countless eons has passed, your own welfare still mentions about accomplishing others' welfare. So even your own welfare is not accomplished. So all these are because of the self-cherishing, the faults of self-cherishing.
간다. 그러나 그 동안 바시 나와 주레스. 다 상호 디세파 가디스 당선. 다 란디지 상바데 바시나 뽑아이나. 그러와. 다 란디지 상바데 바시나 뽑니. 란디 뜻지도 돼야 됐다 때파 뽑니. ran pa yawa to police and that way the shell of ko wa take police ko hindi pela yu dubai na de kanda de sanji la da jobo ya bu cha gore da ju ko ba to la jobo cha gore sanji ji ko ba to la jobo cha gore de de ka ba chero ni de kanda dunya ni de go mare se ko kanda de ro ka ba chero ni de dunga ji na de go mare anda nga jo ran yi ji de kan ji pisu to ba ran da yi ji de pisu to ba 누구를 대면서 시 뭐야 말이야 리지파 상바도 또 봐이나 내가 가서 단다 받았다 단다 된비 마지비 그러니까 뒤쳐 참았다 때 취지 다 준비해서 했어 단다 받 뒤집에 Kapa Thomas is the others, Stumbashi to what the woman as an Ashitaris. Then she then back to the Sanjay, another Sanjay Matuba, Koan, who's a Koyan and Koya. They said to the years and what. That day, some of the party jib there. That's so that a such a shooting enemy, Dickan and the social. Watch as your body, so to be but they do not say the Sanjay to that county to imagine and Jim was on that day. And that for the college that you should then college of Jumado, that Kesson do on the never charts and war. One chief to the Tanda, the colleague at the general that the Kesson will go Jumado.
So not only have you failed to accomplish that, you have only been tormented by suffering. So don't mention about accomplishing own welfare and or the welfare of others. What you accomplish is only suffering. So if you have shifted the concern for your own welfare to that of others, you would have become a Buddha long time ago. So this talks about what we should do. So what we should do is to shift the concern for our own welfare to that of others. So we need to cherish others instead of cherishing ourselves. So we need to ignore oneself instead of ignoring. Shift others' welfare is our main concern. If you would have become a Buddha long time ago, just like those past Buddhas. And both your own welfare and others' welfare would have become excellent without a doubt. So definitely our own welfare and others' welfare would undoubtedly accomplish. So not only that, we will achieve the state of enlightenment quickly, and we will not, and on the way to that goal, as a life after life, we will not stay in the state of suffering. So life after life, we will not stay in sufferings, and we will quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. So definitely oneself and others' welfare will accomplish undoubtedly, and our time will not be wasted. So, but since you did not do that, the time has been spent in meaningless assertions because of not doing it that way. So we wasted our time. So we need to exchange our way of thinking. So shift, the concerns of others' welfare should be our main concern. So on the basis, on this precious basis, so we have already achieved this precious basis. If we do not utilize this basis to accomplish the state of enlightenment, then instead we spend our times in doing meaningless affairs. So that is inappropriate. It's not the right way to use this precious basis. So if we only work for our own welfare, what we will accomplish is loss instead of profit.
Machiba Muchibi Cheada. Kasi Gila choose left by the Juju Boma de Papa, Tundu de la Sapa Meva Sotiaki. That the Nishi Kati Jab will lose, and you jagging is the Jala, the Chigi, say, a deal that under.
So think, now that I have understood this, so what you have understood is, you understood that the enemy or the one who harm oneself is the self-cherishing, and that one will benefit or bring benefit is cherishing others. So now I have understood this already. So I will rely on the mindfulness and vigilance that this self-cherishing is my worst enemy, and make effort so that the self-cherishing that hasn't a reason doesn't arise, and that which has a reason doesn't last long. So I will apply mindfulness and vigilance so that this self-cherishing will not arise. In case if self-cherishing arises, I will immediately put effort in removing it.
That's that Jedna that changes the changes the Punju was an Lama Chavan, that Lama Chavan is a Pushu and Lama Chavan. Rani Jinji to the Punji Manaji, Tishitaki, the Malani, Tena Jisulama to teach us that the only Dima living one. That did Lama Gochi. Takanda and Arampe, Ma Chungimba, Mujimbada, Machibada, Kanga, Sony Dachinzi, Moshi, Takanda, Worshipa Mazi, Tape, Jula Machiba, Machiba, no giant. Kasi Chiba in a 2 kilometers, Dema to Elpa, Tatuya. This is that they might say that he changed the money, he changed the money, Ellen Pierda, your name. I get some of the you at minute and feel luxury, you just seriously. He changed the nation, that they happen. That he changed the that he gave us Zimadilla, so Dilla local, but you want to so like Gawata to achieve. We got to achieve. Gawata to achieve, you can and I get some of the teaching you are in unit on it. Young had to get into us. But this is some worship. We did it.
So even in Lama Chopa, so Guru Puja, we always recite, we always do Lama Chopa Puja, right? So one part of it is Tonglen meditations. So it's very good to to meditate according to the Tonglen meditations. There is one specific verse in Lama Chopa or Guru Puja. So it's also very the words on meditating on Tonglen. Then there is a very good to meditate accordingly. So I'll say we understand that which brings us all the degenerations, troubles, problems, and unhappiness is self-cherishing. So we have recognized that already. And on top of that, we also recognize that which brings us happiness, that which brings us excellences, that which accomplish the happiness of oneself and others is this cherishing others. So we having understood the benefits and having understood the qualities of cherishing others, I will take delight in accomplishing that, or take delight in generating cherishing others.
That is the that one that is here. That one change the you got to go change in the sheep, in the boss and the law. But that thing about ship to super worship. That worship between it. One minute, I mean, he sent you like a Hajan with your Pamba, took out the little one. You open number 10, but he sent you the number 10. Only Jibans in the park, no park, was at by Jim. I think Jibans, or Jibans with the Lord. I think Madame and Jimmy will do something. She said, Kamachi, Manchipata, Jibans in a possible Janisa, Lansan go to his own label.
Yeah, so by giving rise to whatever degree you can to the thought that others are dear, pleasant, and likable, generate the mind cherishing others just as you previously cherish yourself. So by understanding the door to all degenerations is self-cherishing, and also understanding the door to all excellences or to excellences or qualities is cherishing others, then I will not waste 1 minute to not meditating or cultivating cherishing others.
That you will be trying to chamber the Ninja Doma, the Chinese about Belgium, that this is that is so good. And that duration. That and then I go Chamba the Ninja, Changi said, that Jonala, you don't know the answer. I'm going to Changi said, you don't know the Nangani, Pacific, Mabu Fisarwa. Nanga Chikas, Amo Tano, machine, to go, you know, some of them are to the Gonda, Nanga Chilasha, the Dagi Jiva, Dagi Nanji, the Nanga Chikwa. That the region Lord reminded the Ghana, which on this same villa Chevrolet, Lanza, the not trying to say villa Chevrolet, and not judging the combined progress, not have a progress in a Lanza thing, whom I is. The Kenza mustn't come up to Kenza reminded the people over this way.
So Atisha said the Tibetans celebrate bodhisattvas who do not know how to train in love and compassion. So basically, in order to generate bodhicitta, we need love and we also need compassion, right? So there are two main there are two instructions to generate bodhicitta. The first one is 7 cause and effect, beginning with
meditating on equanimity, then followed by recognizing all sentient beings as one's mother, and remembering their kindness, etc. So this is the first instructions. And the second instructions is equalizing and exchanging oneself with others. So these two are the indispensable instructions that we need to rely on in order to generate bodhicitta. So even if we do not rely on the instructions and do not meditate accordingly or gradually, and immediately think that, oh, I need to generate bodhicitta immediately. I need to achieve the state of enlightenment or state of liberations immediately. So if we do not meditate gradually accordingly, there is no way that we can achieve such goal. So we must, as a climb the staircase, as we must meditate gradually, just like how we climb the staircase in order to reach to the destinations or the goal.
Oh, that is so good. That's about the need to do much to be Chinese or Precepts. That kind of that one to choose that and the jungle is and we are to the issue. So that is what. And the jungle, the Tambo need to go in the jungle is or go in the Pelame jungle is. Go in the ladder de Panda, as you can see about. And you say Jabala, say Villa Jabala, and the jungle, that Mangani Tabu Chisare, in the Mangatin, Chita, Tabinaji. Any opposite to a candy person, that Jerry tuned to somebody. Then Miraba the Camel as a going on to let it to you, Jerry tuned to Lamrimba. Oh, that the Soji the Jimba, to the Majani, you will say. It's only Majin of Majamba, then answer the Chanti say Gila J to your mother, Chanti say Gila J your mother, or Chanti say Gila Majana, Tepachipotan, Sumaris, or Chanti say Gila Majana, Tepachipotan, say your mother. What did he say? That the little jungle is a long bit is now door.
Then he was then asked, so Lama Atisha was then asked, then how do you do that? And Lama Atisha replied, you must train sequentially from the beginning. So this is what I explained just now. So how to generate bodhicitta? So we must generate bodhicitta in relation to these two instructions. The first one is 7 cause and effect based on meditations on equanimity, and the second one is equalizing and exchanging oneself with others. So in order to meditate on these two instructions well, we must practice the stages of the path of small scope and medium scope. So we must practice the stages of the path of small scope and medium scope, such as meditating on death and impermanence, etc. So if we do not meditate on the stages of the path of small and medium scope, there is no way that we can develop bodhicitta. So if bodhicitta is not developed, then we are not considered to be a part of a Mahayanist.
Oh, that was a touch and what you said, what you did, King. That's on this same what you mean, but you look and was that Ninja the Sawa, Shivish Tower, Ninja. That Ninja the chamber, the Sawa chamber, Sawa Shivish, and you see the Sawa, that means that the cousin to shoot or that the reason that Chandu to say the Mochi Panda, you want to match with the paper to the Chandu Sumari. That Chandu to say the Mochi, Toyala Panda, you want to Kasi Shuima. Shendy damages somebody, Chandu damages somebody. You can look at the Chandu in the knee. That they need never Guru is what they need never to Guru is. That Shendy damaging Gimba so that you like Chandu damaging Gimbas in the Poland, Chandu Sadish. What?
You don't draw.
I am cut to call the Butcherina, not to Chandu to see the land. During the major the person, during the major the person, during the major the don't be Chandu data, don't be Chandu prayer, don't be Chandu data, since you do not be a shade. During the major, don't be Chandu prayer. During the major chief person, shade, singular shade,
so we Chandu down,
shade,
Yaro,
during the major. That during the major the guinea, that during the major the Chinese syllabus, the Chiang, during the major the Chandu down. Shendeni was one, or Shendeni. That daily so dinner Tambu Kari was not Tambu Chandu. Tambu Chandu. 담보 창조도 마토나 신대지 되게 말이야. 라치는 되게 말이야. 어때니? 시대의 내자 창조의 신대니 담보 가르 포그레스나 담보 가른 중에서나 창조도 그래서 좋아 창조도 토바이나 내 신이 단 앞에 배쯤 앞에 같이 눈 앞에 신대 제대로 해서 와 그런데 내자 봐야 돼. 담보 창조도 좋아. 어떤 담보 뒤져 담보 창조도 그런데 내자는 창조도 세도 그런데 내자는 창조의 신대니 그래서 와 그런데 내자 창조의 신대니 담보 가른 데도 해서 담보도 그래서 얘들이 왜 신대 제대로
So this precious bodhicitta is rooted in compassion. So this compassion is very important because it is the root for generating the precious bodhicitta. So if bodhicitta, the precious bodhicitta is not developed, then the practitioner himself or herself is not a Mahayanist. So in order to achieve this precious bodhicitta, then we must have two aspirations. So the aspirations are striving for the sake of others, and aspirations striving for the enlightenment. So there are two objects of objects of striving for bodhicitta. So for bodhicitta, there are two objects of striving. Yeah, there are two objects to strive for. So the first object is enlightenment, and the second object is the sake of others. So the welfare of others or the sake of others. So even though there are two objects to strive for bodhicitta to strive for, and among these two, enlightenment and the welfare of others, the first to be developed in one's mind stream, or the first to be achieved, is the enlightenment. So we must achieve enlightenment first in order to accomplish the welfare of others, or to work for the welfare of others. Because if we do not first achieve the enlightenment, there is no way we can accomplish the welfare of others. So therefore, there are two objects for bodhicitta to strive for. And the first one is enlightenment, and the second one is welfare of others. And among these two, the first to be developed in one's mind is enlightenment.
chanchu tene ji samba dimba da shende tene ji samba tene chanchu tene ji samba da dimba lo nan digo chanchu tene ji samba da shende tene ji samba ni tambo 가르치 보고 했으나 tambo shende tene samba 제 보다 그 samba da tambo shende tene ji samba shende tene ji dimba da 제 예수 chanchu tene ji dimba 제 와 다 samba de tambo shende tene dimba da chanchu 제 생지 그래 해서 라이 봐 somebody tambo shende de somebody ni sinchi tanchi 된다 코드 얘는 된다 두니 이상 근데 shende de somebody tambo 제 이 somebody 제 차리 다 shende de 피수 소바 두발나 너 장주 공부하대 마토나 근 지금 뭐 도스는 그 장주 되는 좀 봐라 제라
예, drogsegio.
돌아 tambo somebody tambo shende de somebody 니라지 대지에서 장주 되는 게 somebody 제라지 와 오제 다 그런데 내자 장주대 담보 줄라기네 신뢰되 잖아. 다 디니 제발 시겠다. 그래서
삼박이 토니 셰와이나 디 신둔 이 좀바디 담보디 기고.
담보의 제일 대답에 코드면은 누구서 근데 삼박 제우로 얘도 삼박 제 땅이 견데 코드네 봐 삼지시 공부도 마도나 누구 뭐두상 내 장주 때문에 누구 봐도 되고 어디에
Yeah, so as I mentioned just now, there are two objects there are two objects to strive for. So for bodhicitta, there are two objects to strive for. The first one is enlightenment, and the second one is the welfare of others. So among these two, the first object to be developed in one mind stream, or the first object to be achieved, is enlightenment. So we first achieve the state of enlightenment, then we can work or accomplish the welfare of others. So that is one way of thinking in relation to this two objects to strive for. And the second way to think in relation to this aspirations or attitude, striving for enlightenment and aspirations striving for enlightenment. So the second way of thinking this is, so the first thing the first aspiration to be developed, or the first attitude to be developed, is aspiration striving for the welfare of others. So that will act. So we must first develop aspiration striving for the welfare of others. So develop to have the commitment or promise that I will take the responsibility to work for the welfare of others. And in order to accomplish that purpose, then and if I do not achieve the state of enlightenment, there is no way that I can accomplish that purpose. So I must achieve the state of enlightenment. So that will come later. So first, we develop aspiration striving for the welfare of others. That is like a cause, or it comes before the aspiration striving for the enlightenment.
다 현재 되는 somebody 디지 세지 줄라 된 말에 장주 되는 진도만 뒤 돌아 돌아 생각하고 와.
좁사 돼 가자 로바치로.
다 된다 때야 이제 누가 시다지 사는 방법이나 저런 거 주투바이나 현재 되는 지 somebody 줄 때마다 디지 런지 고리라야 키바지. 디지 세지지 디지 런지야 고리라야 야부는 해치 키바지. 디지 런지 고리라 키비시 그래서 런지 고리라야 키비치. 장주 되는지 간다 님바데 간다 디지 세지 돌아 때마다 디지 세지 뭐라 키비치. 뭐라 키비치.
진이 남긴 거고.
장주 되는 님바야 디지 세지 보스 때마다 디지 런지 뭐라 키비치. 디지 남긴 거고. 뭐라야 키비치. 키비치.
시대 되니기 somebody yana 뒤바데 디지 남기 고림 키비치.
고리라 키비치. 고리라 키바. 고리라 야고 고스야지. 고리라 키비치. 장주 되는 님바데 도와 다 디지 런지 들라 때오라 돌아 때마다 다 디지 런지 뭐라 키비치. 뭐라 키비치. 그래서 That's what I'm going to
Yeah, so aspiration striving for the welfare of others is like the cause, and aspiration striving for the sake of striving for enlightenment is like a companion. So regarding these two, the aspiration striving for the welfare of others, because it's said to be the cause because the 신은 뒤에 somebody the teaching 남기 고림 라키비 치도록 이디 because
주대야 디바들이
규定돼.
주대야 디지 런지 고리라 키비치.
So why do we rely on aspiration striving for the welfare of others as the cause? Is because it's in order to be well versed in the stages of the path. Is in order to be well versed in the stages of the path of Mahayana, the stages of Mahayana path. So why do we regard aspiration striving for the welfare of others as the cause? Is because in order to become well versed in the stages of Mahayana path. And why do we say that aspiration striving for enlightenment is the companion? Is in order to become well versed in the nature of the Mahayana path. So one is the stages of the Mahayana path, and the second one is to become well versed in the nature of the Mahayana path. Lamrim sinang la yun Lamrim
나는 요마
요마로.
이놈 요마 네 요마를 그냥 신나서 친구 저기로
Tsongkhapa 현존지.
신대치 양다도 비ಚಾ준 거에서 어디 신제반의 신대치 양다도 비차준 거에서 같이 주셔서라 이런 것도 갖다 보면
Yeah, also in to identify Mahayana Bodhichitta. So that is mentioned in the first chapter of Ornament for Clear Realizations. So it's only two lines. So Bodhichitta is wishing to achieve the perfect complete enlightenment for the sake of others. Bodhichitta is the wish for perfect complete enlightenment for the sake of others, yeah, for the welfare of others or for the sake of others. So it's only these two lines. Bodhichitta is wish for perfect complete enlightenment for the sake of others. So this is mentioned in the first chapter of Ornament for Clear Realizations.
that is my theory. That one that you see is that the matter as a single because the messenger that the culture is not that this long tradition show for the Melina, Mutachu, Tatachi, the 2 years. That is the machine, maternity, Dhamma, or Matachi, the 2 years, Tatachi.
So then Larry Tamba said, so Tsongkhapa and I have 18 human methods and 1 horse method, 19 altogether.
That the long cover the show came out to the Shindra Changi to the Shindra. That under Matasiwa there, Changi is thinking, Gigi Siji to the local areas. That is Changi to say Majiba, Jeba, or you say Majiba, Jeba, Muniba, Pedro Mateo, Dot Jinzi, with the Villa understood in the Junior. Dot Jinzi to the Pakati channel years ago. That under the raw singular page one. That the game of Rodo Generation.
So the human methods are to generate the mind set on supreme enlightenment and train in doing whatever one does for the welfare of sentient beings. So this is the human methods. And as for the horse method, then since it is our self-cherishing that causes that hasn't arisen doesn't arise, and that has arisen doesn't last and increase. So one should train in whatever harms it by pointing edge to it. Also, one should train in whatever benefits by helping others.
That is that Mutachu Sawadi. Mutachu Tata G say below that Mutasa Dhamma Jewels, Mutasa or the ones of Chanchu symbol to serve Kanda, Senji, Jonah the need is, but then that people do say the need is Senji or Jonah the need is Senji. This Senji Jonah the top de la Senji Jonah. Since the Pemba doing that, and that Pinto chair will top de la, and that because I'm with the practice, Sinji join the title. Nisi join Chinese about join the Nissinji Noah, Sinji Noah, or they are join the top de la Mouch or competition, which Tamu is about Noah.
So regarding the 18 human methods, so 18 human methods. For Bodhisattva, the object to benefit or the object to protect is sentient beings or are sentient beings. So the method to benefit or the method to protect is called human method. So this is the explanations on the human methods.
Well, that on the method, Nisiji joined that Tanga Joji saw the Joji Tata, that Kashi, Dhamma Tanga is in in also Tanga Joji the Monsila Jajana, that the Yabushi is Monsila Jaj. Joji Tata, Mubachi, that the Monsila Jaj, Junsen Gopa said, Junsen Gopa the Yoriko. The Jagwa Junsen Garasina, Mata Sewada, and that Chansina to pay, Joyagi, near Sinchi, join the top de la Mata, and the Wa, you should tell you about. That Chansina to near join the Sinchi, the China and the Bamabuji of the Yeso. And this is one of the need join the Sinchi, the Johnny de Bamabuji. That's near Sinchi join the Johnny de Bamabuji, that Johnny de near Sinchi Telape, that can't never now so far that Johnny de Barek, can't never answer. That the distance that need join Sinchi the Johnny de Bate, can't never 나서 봐 전에 내가 순간 나 대중하게 탑대 다른 누구를 해서 다 생기는 좀 탑대 타 나서 봐 전에 내가 마음이 오지 어디 든지 잡아이나 장가 쪼지를 따다 장가 따다 여기 봐 마음을 견디 따다 변다데 내가 이미 변다데 원다는 거 나오긴 저거 막 그래서 정말 와 노이 변다 들라잖아 따다 지구도 지다 장가 쪼지다 된다 뭐다 마음이 지안도 와 따다 변다 도도 들라잖아 지금 망치를 장가 쪼지서도 망치라자 장신은 이 중요하대 생기리스 근데 생기도 장인데 봐 마음이 요레스 마음이 여봐 맞지 생기도 카다 매번 나서 봐 장인데 봐 마음이스 딜라 중요하라 장주 심바티고 타 나서 봐 장인데 봐지 들리지 마티나 고주 좀 와 어디니까 망치 이미 계셔야죠 망치 그래 자잖아 어때야 보고
So to explain the meaning of 18, so in some commentaries, then they list the 18 methods. So, however, I also refer to other commentaries, and I found this reason. Why is it listed as 18? So the reason to list as 18 is this 18 means many, so it has a numerous or the meaning of many, so it implies many. So because these 18 methods, so the human methods, as I mentioned just now, the object bodhisattva the object bodhisattva benefit or to protect are sentient beings, and the method to benefit or the method to protect them is called human method, right? So since they are numberless sentient beings, since there are many sentient beings, and they have different mental dispositions, inclinations, and interests, therefore the method to protect them, the method to benefit them are also many, are also numberless. So that's why I think that these 18 implies many instead of the listing this 18 methods in specific listing 18 specifically. So I think just with implies numerous implies many is better.
다 못하세요. 나 카드가 뭐도 거야 돼. 못하세요. 네 생기 중에 다 저기 보다. 네 생기 중에 다도 네 인생을 저기 못하세요. 가르쳐. 네 생기 중에 다.
So what is human method? So human method is method to protect the object, sentient beings.
다다 지로도 와. 다다 지도 다다 리고도 와. 다다 지서데 다 상세능지로 상세능지 자디 지에서 다 상세능지 반도야 자디 지 가르스나 다 진지들 다 진지 리얼 자디 다 진지 지고 단 대학에 자고데 상주 심반의 집에 전다 내가도 가르스나 내가 신진의 템퍼줘야 돼와 신진의 템퍼줘야 신진의 템퍼줘도 꼭 같이 저기 또 누자도 가르스나 다 진지들 와 다 진지들 와 디소다 다타 지서의 상주 심반의 집에 자리야 또 자디 다 진지 지레스 다 진지 지고 되레스 대지 지고 손상 다 된도이 타데 다 신제반지 봐 이래 된도이 타디지 신제반지 디소다 다타 지서의 다타 누구도 와 야로 와 that diligent tradition.
So also regarding the horse method, so one horse method, right? So for what bodhisattvas, what do they do? So what do bodhisattvas do? Their main thing to do or their main job is to benefit sentient beings, and that which prevents them or obscures them from benefiting sentient beings is the enemy. And the enemy is the self-cherishing. So there's one enemy that bodhisattvas has to subdue, and that one enemy is self-cherishing. So this self-cherishing, the method to subduing this enemy, the self-cherishing, also one, which is cherishing others. So that is why it is called one horse method.
Oh, that thing also, Naji, Mataseva, Tatas in Tenda to Sirva, that Mataseva, the dark Jinzi, Dui, Tas. Matas Katuana, dark Jinzi, Ta, Jinji, the Jinzi,
Tata Roy.
Oh, Tatas,
Oh.
Data, dark Jinzi, Tap, Tatas, dark Jinzi, Tap, Mataseva, Sinji, Joy, Ta. I cut it under Dodo do someone and do.
Yeah, in summary, so human methods means method to protect the object, which is sentient beings. So method to protect the object, sentient beings. And horse method means the method to subdue self-cherishing. So this is the summary for human method and horse method.
That is all column which the Ranjan Joe, Sinjil Yali, the Chipato, Yali, the China, that's Sinjil Masala, Yali, Papa could is yet that, and not the Sinjil of put the guinea, but put the guinea. That's how you say the mochi, when the table chamber down the 2 months, Chandu said the Rally in the world. Chandu said the Rally in the world. That's Sinjil about you put the money. Could the money and that she chambers at the war. Could the money she chambers here. What the Lani, that on that, in this Sinjil put the money in the she chambers in it. Take on the war. The little take on through Julepe on the Chichu Chepores, Kandarwa, Chichu Chepores, or Chichu Chepore, that I see. Mena, Chiagan, Chiba in a Telia Pumbeta Chapres, which are visible. Oh, that they imagine the Haran, the Ayo Marsota. Not to pay, he Japans in the Lord to pay. Susu Dilla Machi Protocol, Chia Children, the Chivarema, that they got the Ayo visible.
So in Kamlumba said, since we act deviously towards precious sentient beings, they will also do the same to us. And it is good to constantly check what extent this mind has been generated, because everything stems from it or originates from it. So whether the root of the Mahayana has been planted and whether one is included among Mahayanists, then if it doesn't arise, do not leave it at that, but rely on a virtuous friend who teaches it. So whether we become a Mahayanist or not, it depends on whether Bodhichitta has arisen in one mind stream or not. So one should try our best to develop cherishing others, to take the responsibility to work for the welfare of others. So if Bodhichitta hasn't arisen in one's mind stream, and we shouldn't just let it stay that way, and we should try our best to develop Bodhichitta. So if it hasn't arisen in oneself, and if it has already arisen in one's mind stream, then we should try our best to increase it.
Oh, that on the Jula Machida, Kanda Chandu said the Machida to watch him trying to see your Marwa. See your Mare. That on the Machi by the day, Chiagan, the Jenny, the Gishin in the thing, yes, Kandaroa, Gishin in the thing, in the low Jongore, no Jome, no doing it, Kanda Toda, Paton Dogore, Sedoa, Ada, I named the Paton Dogia. That did be Soro Bonde the Chepala, Sedoa, Soro Bonde the Chepala. That's also the Lodo Chile. Can you say the Lodo Machiba Chi? That she couldn't do it, and that she gave us the Lord so young. That day, John Lagana, Sosa, Jiba Joe Chanza children, they have to do Marsuwa, what in the jungle is. Let the Lippy Chandu say the Jilla Jelly, Sabe Chan Sawa, meaning Hinchi Chansawa, that Chandu say the Jilla Jella, Chichi Chansawa, Sabe Chan Sawa, Sino Masina, and that Mangani got here, or Mangani got there, darling. But Mangani got the Jilla Jet and Chandu say Jella, send it for your mother, send it your mother. Oh, that didn't know if jungle. That didn't do Manga, and Mangani got Jella Lord down with it. That day, all the Karabu was in that gave it changing around to like I put down. Oh, this is about the Google. What is so much? They got in the dark, got in down where I was dead, and that bag shepherd in Georgie, the song. Oh, the no jam machine. The jam machine, but you call it, shouldn't get enough. Yeah, shouldn't. That do to your mother. Was it? Did you reach your
Yeah, so it's very important to develop bodhicitta, because if we do not develop bodhicitta in one's mind stream, one is not considered as a Mahayanist. So we must try our best to develop bodhicitta if it hasn't arisen in one's mind stream already. Then if it has already arisen in one's mind stream, then we should try our best to increase it. So in order to do that, then we must rely on a virtuous friend who teaches about bodhicitta, and always keep company with the companion who train their mind in developing bodhicitta. On top of that, we also have to read the scriptures of the teachers and their commentaries on bodhicitta. So as its cause, accumulate the collections and purify your obstructions. So because developing bodhicitta in mind stream is not easy, so we must accumulate the collections and also purify our obstructions. So basically, accumulate the collections or conducive conditions are the two instructions that we have already mentioned many times. So so if these two instructions are developed in one's mind stream, then definitely bodhicitta will arise in one's mind stream as well. Then in order to practice well in these two instructions, then we must practice the stages of the path of small scope and medium scope as well. Because if we do not practice gradually, then we will be like the sentence here. The Tibet, like Atisha said, so the Tibetans celebrate bodhisattvas who do not know how to train in love and compassion.
That the Nazi can the Chinese say that Chia Nazo, Bezinja, Bezinja Majibaina, Chinese say the Majula Chetu Marese, and that the shoe with what. Or that the Kudu Mashiva, so Jimbasta, and that the Chibi says that Nashiba, that Chinese say, during the Nazi Marimba, the Jan, so the Chinese say Chia. But you did it, and that did it.
So it is as Atisha said, for those who wish to enter the gate of Mahayana Dharma, it is worth an eon of effort for bodhicitta to grow, which like the sun and moon. So sun eliminates darkness, and moon pacifies scorching heat. So the meaning of this verse is we must put effort in the two instructions in order to develop bodhicitta in one mind stream.
That the one and somebody Sinji chose what the songs of me are. That's somebody Sinji chose what my share.
So the measure the give it say this one.
Keep it said that you do shit saying about the golden and so much jumble at any. That changes in the children want to tell me you want to tell my teacher that is some of the
and give it says that they are
Mengani would the Abu Jambala Tini, which are using the chief of the essay. But the delay, and the she people, the children wanted so many in what time is she or that.
Yeah. So the measure of it having a reason that should be understood from what was already explained above. So in brief, I'll say one must rely on the two instructions in order to develop bodhicitta. So this is the brief explanations in relation to this outline. Otherwise, if I were to explain it extensively, then it will be very difficult for us to understand that for the time being.
That's what Sinji chose one my share is.
Yeah. So the next outline is the ritual for adopting bodhicitta.
Dhamma Toba Shiva, Toba Manaba Song, Yana Shiji Kata Sonse, that can you say that? Dhamma Toba Shiva, there are some Kanilan, you're going to be Chitala and Chua, the Sonse, that I'm such a Sonse.
So the way to adopt it by means of a ritual, this has 3 points. So receiving what has not yet been received. So in other words, is obtaining what is not yet obtained. and guarding that which has been obtained without degenerating. Guarding that which has been obtained from degenerating for the second outline. So the first one, receiving that which has not yet been received. In other words, is obtaining what is not yet obtained. And guarding that which has been received without it degenerating. In other words, is guarding that which has been obtained from degenerating. And the third outline is, and the method for restoring it if it has degenerated.
This is such a sort of chance that such a for a word Yabu, some people Yabu, Tambun Chandu say, Matoba Toba Shiki, Siji Chuzu, Matoba Toichi, the Roa, Siji Chuzu. Totan, Sandukalia, Manabaya, Convendrechi, Roa, Toba Manama Sanchi. Dakanda, Nyamba in the Andea, La Suchi, the Shandu says, that is it. I was such as a such a product, such a product, and what they could do. What? Can you see? Chugis left and sit, did it what? Matoba, Susu Matoba, Toichida. Totandia, Manaba Soichit. Then, Tony Man, Yambaina, yeah, she chit, what? Yes, so Tamosu, the some of what?
Yeah. So we take some time to think about the outline. So if we just thinking about the outlines, then we can also know roughly what this outline is talking about. So the way to adopt it by means of a ritual, another way of saying this could be the reason to adopt it by means of a ritual. So the first outline, the first point is obtaining or receiving that which has not yet been received. So obtaining what is not yet obtained. So this is the first one. So if you haven't receive it or you haven't obtained it, then you obtain it. Then the second one is if you have already obtained or received it already, then you have to guard it from degenerating. And the third one is if it has already degenerated, then you have to restore it.
Matoba Toba Shiba, that was the Tamuda, Chanju said, Matoba Toba Shiba, Sunate. Or Mrs. Matoba Toba Shed. That Matoba Toba Shiala, Tamu, Sulalang is Kanga use that's Mrs. Chogi Lama, Lansa Yujibura, Lansa Yudi. That Yudi Kanijibur is that Yudi Kanijibur Dimashi, Panga, you Kangan Pitchalan Chawase. Sulalang is Lansa, which used to be Tomba Shiala, Lansa Yudi, Kanza Kanijila, yes, that is also Kimbo, Lama, that she said, you did Dillo. That's also the Kimbo in a Lama in a row. Can't get limit this. Can't do my engaged level. Engaged level. Chitala, Choga, that Choga the Kishi. Chata would use them is the use of.
So receiving that which has not yet been received, again, this has 3 points. The object from whom it is taken. So basically, it means from whom you take the vow. Yeah, so then from whom you take the vow, for example, abbot or lama. So the person who takes it, so we refer to the person who takes the vow and the ritual by which it is taken. So it talks about, the third outline talks about the ritual itself.
That ambulance you did over, call it long, you did a command can amazing the day. He larger than me, but I'm amazing that they larger than me. Never than the Mari Lazim to do the damage to the essay, the little along the essay on that. Oh, the Lila, and that amazing that they larger than me, but I'm Mochova, and you do damage to the Galina to the Sudan knows a Galina to be chilly. Chances to be Tomba, they take the soon to Sudan, Galina Jaga. Galina the Calisos now, be chilly, chances to be Tomba, they be taken soon say, this one essay, Galina Jaga. And that the Dalina and Tuno said, Jeremy now each Chimon 6 chances. They allow you to jump on 6 chances. Dalina and Tuno said, oh, Dalina Jaji, be chilly, chances to be Tomba that they be taken soon.
Just a simple.
Oh, yeah, chances to be Tomba Dema. And you go to the Shimon. The mission has started to do that can't answer you to them.
So the object from whom it is taken, the assertions of the earlier masters accord with Master Jitari, who said that it is not enough for the preceptor to possess aspiring bodhicitta and to be abiding in the trainings. He must possess the vow of engaging bodhicitta. So if you refer to Lamrim Chenmo, then you will see that Master Jitari says that the object or the person from whom you take the vow should be a person who possess bodhisattva vows. Should be spiritual friends who possess bodhisattva vows. So this is what it means here. Must possess the vow of engaging bodhicitta. So the person who takes the vow, so all gods, nagas, and so forth who are physically and mentally fit or suitable to generate aspiring bodhicitta are also a suitable basis for it. So so basically 6 types of six types of migratory beings or transmigratory beings, then they are able to develop bodhicitta. So in scriptures and commentaries, it talks about the basis to develop So in scriptures and commentaries, then it talks about the basis to develop bodhicitta. And in scriptures and commentaries, it mentions 6 types of migratory beings. They are able to develop bodhicitta. So a commentary on difficult points of length for the path says, repose by secular existence, mindful of death, with wisdom and great compassion. So it talks about the basis to take bodhisattva vows. So it must be someone reposed by secular existence, be mindful of that, with wisdom and with great compassion. So then thus the vow taker should be someone who has gained a little experience of transforming his mentality into bodhicitta by training the mind in the stages of the path explained above. The next outline is the ritual by which it is taken. This has 3 points: the preparatory ritual, the actual ritual, and the concluding ritual. Again, the preparatory ritual, it has 3 points: special going for refuge, accumulating the accumulations, and training in the attitude.
就是那就这个送人在这里，我们都在送，将都7、8小时送。
Dia kan tu sum di kari lagi sila pun dah. Ni gen sa tere, ni gen
将
ten
都
jam.
7、8小时，我们有一抽啊，是啦，将都7、8小时，错啥吧，3、8小时送的啊，那将都7、8小时的人，将都7、8小时的来送，哦，你就店长的去这小，说的就是那就叫我送人，
So yeah, so the ritual, so the preparatory ritual is the ritual, one, take the vow. So it has 3 points, right? So the first one is special going for refuge, and special going for refuge again divided into 3 points. The first point is decorating the place, displaying representations, and setting up offerings in substances. Second one is making a request and going for refuge. And the third one is stating the trainings of having gone for refuge.
那的当部的人对吧？那刚才年纪定的绝对想法是当部的，年纪定的绝对想法，当然这个绝对想法的人，因为少数当然都知道谈到的，但因为少数是那么现在看到嘛，这个所谓的主管人啥搞完的，人苹果老谈的，对吧？因为少数，但是说张嘛虽然的给情况讲过。但我们对逻辑嘛是把修啊的，你说嘛，张嘛虽然这些人到过，他刚才是吧？我把修啊是吧？就是把修啊的，他刚才学我录CD有啥的吧？他张嘛虽然了，他刚才整理了是吧？等这个买到的，整理知道是吧的？你就是张嘛学，怎么样？什么等这学等有啥的吧？我在等这个是有啥的吧？他买到什么多呀的？他工作为什么呢？刚才是嘛是通过就是生源逻辑，对吧？那工作通过的过来是忙不有了吧？那工作是你说的老师吧，这个工作生活的长吧去，那结果的长期生活不是是吧？这样就当然就不有了，那个学就是学的了，他刚才就是什么呢？也相爱的，他刚才不是对的也相爱，你得懂那种不是的想法嘛，这帮嘛这里啊，他刚才没多的缺乏的这个。那什么呀？这就是这类多，当不的这种。
So decorating the place, displaying representations, and setting up offering substances. So cleared and isolated place. So in the modern day, the isolated place could means a place where we take a place where we organize a ritual, or a place where we take the vow. So clean and isolated place and smear it with the 5 cow substances. So in the past traditions, then they clean the isolated place and then smear it with the 5 cow substances. So and anoint it with exquisite perfume water such as sandalwood water and scatter fragrant loose flowers. Then set up representations of the 3 jewels such as like tankas and everything. So tankas, metal statues and so forth. And text and so forth, and images of bodhisattvas on a throne or smaller throne. So here table also means like a smaller throne or a raised platform.
That is like a tan cheva piedra. That lady that made all of the cheva nuts about Jingo. That Romo that has in the magic Mama Dash or the Mama Jigo. That is so consideration. The cheva of the can't teach Jumba in a can't teach people race it. 다 간다 인디지니 보다 단 중고 마토마토야 그 소소와 나서 그래서 와 소소바 다 간다 제가 여나는 간지지 시작을 다시 매바이나 다 카차 구하서지 간다 왜 카차 드리프잖아 지금 해서 간다와 그거라고 굉장히 좋아다 카차스는 레프가 이런 좋아 다 중바이나 제가 우리 해서 비슷하고 소소나사 소사야 다 마주마이는 매바이나 된 지구에서 간다 비디시는 지구에서 간다
So do the preparatory ritual with items or with offerings such as canopies, flowers, and we also like we also make offerings of fruits. We also make fruit offerings, etc. Right? So basically, here you make offerings as extensive as possible. So canopies, flowers, fruits, etc. So they are as valuable as possible, as well as music, food, and so forth. And if you have So if you have offerings, then you should prepare the offerings as extensive as possible. So if you are lacking of possessions or lacking of the offering substances, even you can offer a piece of cloth as well. So like here it says offering a scraps of cloth is also okay if you do not have other offerings. So even offering a scraps of cloth is also okay. So if you have ability, then you should make or prepare the offerings as extensive as possible.
다 간다 여는 별로 너무 쉬운 들이야 그래서 다 매는 간다 제 가서와 준비해서 무슨 거야 다 조 간다 조 디스도 다 배드너지 많이도 사이즈 센지 시리즈 그 저방에 보면 지에서 나시 다 간다 여는 피부를 되고요 말이야 여는 피부로 다이 맞에 간다 떼서도 가서 보라니 지진에 봐 메타를 해서 보라 보라니 지진에 봐 부를 해서 들어와 리지 부르에서 내가다 다 레몬에 가서 신신신 돌아서 리시로와 리지 부르에서와 리지 부르에 때문에 또 당아서 된다들에 산지 군주 추군주 문디 군주에서 대소가 참받지 다 밥이 소다 간다려와 저 겐지 밖에 시에가 이러와 아주 준비 그 제자 들어와 밥이 소 Meditative Concentration, the Lama Sugi, this was share that I'm what you should Dhamma so Dhamma that's the chair. So the chant to say, share the so Dhamma so good, so what you do Dhamma what the Lichina and the other.
So if you do not have any offerings at all, as described in the Good Eon Sutra, then it can be done even by offering scraps of cloth. So if you do have offerings, then that they should have been obtained through great effort without deceit and should be arrayed in such a way that your friends cannot help marveling. So if you have offerings, then you must offer. So it will be inappropriate if you have offerings and you keep it. So then make the offerings that will amaze your friend. So Lama Atisha was asked to confer the mind generation by Tibetan teachers in Mangyu and Samye, and he reportedly said that it did not arise through inferior offerings. So if you have the offerings, then you must prepare or make the offerings as great as possible. And he also said that a consecrated statue of the main master of the teachings was imperative as a representation. So we must prepare the 3 jewels. So for example, the main master of the teachings as a representations. So there is the Buddha jewel, and at least the verse summary of the perfection of wisdom should be used as a text, that is Dhamma Jewel, to represent Dhamma Jewels, for example, the perfection of wisdom sutra. And then the assembly of ayas is invoked. So this assembly of ayas is represents the Sangha jewel.
That's Chinese foundation. You can have the super computer and never talk on that. Macron, Jetanda, the Sota and the Lamrim, or the Jason. Take on the yellow people that, or not yellow people, you don't need to or the searching that on the yellow people. I don't do very little of the Chanta or the chief of the Jesus. You know, 20,000.
Yeah, so then the student must also wash themselves clean and then put in clean cloths, and with his hands joined is encouraged. Then the guru encouraged the students to generate a clear faith in the excellent qualities of the merit field from the depth of his heart, and also to guide the students to generate the proper motivations. And then the students should then slowly do the 7 practice. So the 7 practice, and I say don't need much mention, right? Because we always recite the King of Prayers, and in which it talks about the 7 practice. And this 7 practice is also a very important practice in the preliminary practice. So, like for example, doing prostrations, making offerings, etc. Yeah. So up to this point, before I talk about making a request and going for refuge, do you have any question? If you have any question, then you can unmute yourself and ask the question. So if you do not have any questions, then I will proceed to talk about making a request and going for refuge. So this is the second point. So making a request and going for refuge. So then the students generates the perceptions of his guru as the teacher. So in other words, students see the guru as the teacher, or generate the perception, to see the guru as the teacher, and then prostrate to him and makes offerings to him, including a mandala. Then with his right knee kneel on the floor and palms joined, he makes a request for generating bodhicitta. That's what So here is to repeat 3 times. So the way to make a request is, so just as the Tathagatas, Arhats, and perfectly complete Buddhas, as well as the great Bodhisattvas abiding on the great grounds, they first generated the minds of unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. Likewise, I, whose name is, so then mention your name, then request the master to generate in me the minds of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. So request the master to generate the minds of unsurpassed, perfectly, complete enlightenment. Then you repeat it 3 times. So to make a request to generate the minds of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment in me, just like those Tathagatas, Arhats, and Buddhas, they first generated the mind. Then the students go for refuge with the behavior explained above to the objects. So to the objects is the object to which we make request. As the Yeah, so to the objects. So the objects here refer to the objects that we take refuge. Objects in which we take refuge. So to the 3 objects, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So Buddha and the Dharma. So the Dharma, here he says the true paths that mainly bring about the cessations. So in general, when we talk about 3 jewels, and when we identify the Dhamma Jewels, in general, the Dhamma Jewels is the truth of the path and also truth of the cessations. In general, we identify Dhamma Jewels to be these 2, truth of the path and truth of the cessation. And the Sangha Jewel is the irreversible Arya Bodhisattvas. So Buddha being the teacher of the refuge, teacher of the refuge, and the Dhamma being the actual refuge. So here you can see I go for refuge to the Buddha, the teacher of the refuge, and then I go for refuge to the Dhamma. The Dhamma is the actual refuge. So the actual refuge, the Dhamma jewels, as mentioned just now, these 2, right? Truth of the path and truth of the cessations. So if one develop the Dhamma jewel, which is by depending on the truth of the path and achieving the truth of the cessations in one's mind, then one has developed realizations in the mind, in one's mind already. So and then it says I go for refuge to the Sangha. So the Sangha is whom I ask to be my companions in practicing refuge. So the student thinks that from now until I achieve enlightenment, in order to protect all sentient beings, I go for refuge to the Buddha, the teacher of refuge. I go for refuge to the Dhamma, the actual refuge. I go for refuge to the Sangha, whom I ask to be my companions in practicing refuge. Then with the general and special attitude, the student makes the strong aspirations. I will never turn away from this attitude at any time. So these again to be repeated 3 times. Master, please grant me your attention. I, whose name is, again you see your name. From now until I reach the quintessence of enlightenment. So in other words, is from now until I achieve the state of enlightenment, go for refuge, the best of humans, the blessed Buddhas. In other words, I go for refuge to the best of humans, the conqueror, or the Bhagawan. So, Master, please grant me your attention. I, whose name is, see your name. From now until I reach the quintessence of enlightenment, go for refuge to the best of Dhammas, the Dhamma that is peace, free from attachment. Master, please grant me your attention. I, whose name is, say your name. From now until I reach the quintessence of enlightenment, go for refuge to the best of assemblies, the Sangha of irreversible Arya Bodhisattvas. So basically here, as in make request, Yeah. So here basically you make requests to each jewels and each jewels and you request 3 times.
that's some of the leisure here, leisure here. That was it doesn't do so they can the leisure here, that Jim Chukas, he went to so the Lopez Matia, that Jim Chumas was leisure, Susi leisure, Timola, Susi leisure, Nishimura,
Tumungi Lajata,
Susi leisure, Timola,
Sushi Laja,
Susi leisure.
Sushi Laja.
Susi leisure, Timola, that's Susi leisure, like God leisure, Jubilaja, that is one issues at war. Gabilaja, Jubilaja,
Sushi Laja.
Susilaja to the New York, Gabilaja, Jubilaja. So Gabilaja, Jubilaja, Yorua. That Timogalaja to the Puyo. Let your locals, that teaching of Major Chishua.
Because Gabilaja and Jubilaja Susu GG de Sumio.
So for Yorua. Gabilaja, Jubilaja, so for Yorua.
So stating the trainings of having gone for refuge, here too the master should mention the trainings that were explained above in the context of persons of lesser capacity. So this is mentioned in the context of small scope already. So there are 2 precepts, or there are 2 precepts. One is the common one, another one is the individual. So the individual precept is divided into 2 again. So the precept to be accomplished and the precept to be abandoned. So each, precept to be accomplished, there are 3, and precept to be abandoned, there are 3 again. So there are 6.
That is your the John of Legend that she's not Jim Should that they were Jim Chunga because she does her work, John of Legend. John of Legend, John Lona, Mamuya Marin, Timogalaja to the Puru, Timogalaja to the Puru, here, Susi Lajatilla, and that Babilaja soup, Babilaja soup. Dear Nini, Chunga Malayan, teaching of the or did it, and the Laja did it.
So regarding the trainings of precepts of having gone through refuge, so maybe in next class I will explain it what are they. So in general, when we list the trainings of having gone for refuge, or precepts of having gone for refuge, so for the common precepts there are 6, and for the individual precepts, so as I mentioned just now, is divided into 2, right? So the precept to be abandoned and the precept to be accomplished. So each of them has 3 precepts.
That means my legend the chance to cut the law against you. Was saying, also have got
Yeah, so it's good to read before next class. So next class I will talk about what are these. Yeah, so then now I think that maybe I don't have to go through them again. So because we have already gone through that part already. So you can just read by yourselves regarding these common precepts and individual precepts. So 6 and 3. So accumulating the accumulations, as before, the 7th practice should be done in the presence of the direct and lineage gurus and the merit field explained above. So basically, the way to accumulate merits is through a 7th practice. So training in the attitude, the observed objects and aspects of love and compassion should be visualized as explained above. So this we have already discussed.
That's only what the niche to what
So I will stop here, and next class I will start with the actual ritual.
Ken, can I ask very quickly? In the last class, Geshe-la started teaching about Tongling. And Krishna, I think, covered only the part of taking. And Krishna said the next class, Krishna will be talking about the practice of giving. But in this class, Krishna did not. Did I miss something out, or is something missing?
그래서 진정아마 대양 기실라 동랭이 골라 수임바 아니 안디 동당 렌 동바당 렌바데 디 수임바 기실라 디 진정아마 이나 대양 피시 디 렌바데 지보 마도 디 수유사 말에 동바세 대한 근타 디 수이나 얘네 드링디 골라 수마스와
아니 그치 디디지 말아 이런 그다음 와서 이제 파파라도 야야 그때 제일 로고스로 먼저 동네에 그 뒤에서 제가 이 나는 내가 지난 동네에 걸어 하지만 무슨 일이 지게였어 그래서 지난 동네에 걸어 뒤에서 제가 지하고 뒤에서
근데 제마디 양 개발수 Yeah, so regarding this Tonglen practice, in previous class I introduced it already. So however, I also wish to talk about Tonglen again in extensive manner. So next class I will talk about Tonglen again.
Thank you, Krishna.
Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, that's short.
So stop here today.
그 게이저 언들한테 직대마저 그런 도와도 공사장을 좀 주고 인지 진지 담아 사실 거는 쓰기는 때마다 너무 좀 그래서 이렇게 되는 데만 쉬고 저거다 저기로 와서 그런 거지 때마다 너무 좀 그래서 이렇게 되는 데만 쉬고 저거다 그러니까 다 마음이 되냐라서 그다 봐 이유도 뭐야 와 이유도 다 내가 보는 것들을 한다 그거 가지고 멤버들 모셔봐 좀 가지고 처음부터 세리는 비지 피수적인 용어다. 그러니까 상지식 공부하고 미래트라도 용어 체계도. 다가는 남이들아 본다. 중요시 내봐. 뭐 중요도 그래서 뭐요 봐. 이게 뭐야? 무슨 말이지?
We conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated especially through these Dhamma discussions, may be the complete cause for Buddha Dharma to flourish in all 10 directions and for sentient beings to experience excellent happiness. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of the Buddha's teachings in the 10 directions represented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And in particular, we also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kapsha Lama Zopa Rinpoche. May they live eons, may they live eons long, excellent health, and may their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to world peace, and may excellent happiness prevail in the world. May the world be free from, may the wars, conflicts, disaster that caused by elements, then be pacified immediately. And also pandemic be pacified immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away, and to those who experience, and to those who suffer, and to those who help others. To those who help others. So may their sufferings be pacified immediately, and may they quickly achieve the state of enlightenment, and may their life be filled with excellent happiness.
Rimni Tawa Rinpoche Make Pana Kebyoji Keba Nyama Memaya Kone Kondo Mewa Jo Rimni Tawa Rinpoche Make Pana Kebyoji Keba Nyama Memaya Kone Kondo Mewa Jo Tingi Tinte Jamyo Kewe Tenzin Gyong Bewe Kunse Doboze Chusun Kuwe Lemen Dudu Batazo Duje Gun Chade Jo Nidike Sundo Jube Lam Chiche Sese Kanche Tendu Gun Chana Premo Tenzin Gazola Soa Teso Shende Jo Jo Dije Kamde Pende Madu Ba Kade Jungwe Sambe Yishin No Kaden Sume Tenzin Gazola Soa Teso Duje Lundo Jo Kari Rawe Kowe Shingane Petan Dewa Manu Jungwe Ni Chire Sema Tenzin Gazoi Shabe Side Badu Tengyo Ji